Oh well, gone too far. What a great start to the video. So, hello and welcome to today's YouTube video. So, as the title suggests, today is a sit-down video and it's going to be a Q&A. So, I put some question boxes out on my social media. Anything goes. Life, fitness, business, anything really. Mixed bunch, I'm not going to lie. So, I'm going to go through them now and answer them. So, you can sit back, whatever you're doing, like enjoy. If you like the video, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know. But I'm just gonna have a sip of my green tea. Not green tea, what was it? Mint tea today. And of course I have the strongman mug that it's not gonna focus on. So let's get stuck into it. So the first question I'm gonna answer is, let's have a look. So I've got them up on my laptop here. So, favorite food. Now this is a tricky one, okay, because I think like as a question that's way too broad for me. As a slightly autistic man, I need parameters for within which I need to answer a question. Food, any food, is just too general for me. So let's have a think. Like, what foods do I absolutely love eating? And I would say like I do love porridge. Like that is such a dull response, but I just love it, and I do love oatmeal. But in terms of foods, I think my favourite food or food group is definitely like desserts. Like I can hammer desserts, and bread is great, isn't it? Like let's be honest, like bread and pastries and baked items are up there, and I can't really pinpoint specific foods because, like I said, that question is way too broad for me. It gives me anxiety just thinking about it. So, next question. How do you find having your life on social media? And this is an interesting one. Obviously, like I'm not a big kind of social media person by any means, but my business does work around being on social media, showing client results and so on and so forth. And in terms of social media, like it's a tricky one because you know what it brings to your business, and my business wouldn't be able to run without it, but at the same time it does have its setbacks. Like sometimes you do feel just generally fatigued from having to kind of put stuff up all the time, but what I kind of do is I think about it as a job. It is my job to do that right now, and hopefully it won't be forever once I get things set up, but it is my job, and that's how I view it. And yes, it can be draining, and yes, it can be somewhat kind of toxic in a way, but it's only as toxic as you kind of let it. If you follow people that annoy you, it becomes toxic. If you follow people that are gonna make you question yourself or make you feel bad about yourself, it's going to be toxic. And that's something we need to think about, I think, as we move more into kind of this generation now, is how are we managing social media to actually help us? Because what we find for a lot of people, and myself including in the past, is like it doesn't actually help me. I'm just there scrolling, I'm just there consuming information, or not even information half the time, just pointless shite that I don't need to look at. And if it's not making me feel better or making me better as a human, is it worthless? Is it worthless to me? Yes, it probably is. So you need to just get that out. And I think one of the best things you can do, like if your life is on social media, like limit what you're exposed to within reason. Of course, like you need to engage with people and so on and so forth, but don't just follow people because you want to kind of keep up to date with what they're doing if you don't actually like them and they annoy you, because you don't need that level of negativity in your life. Or don't follow anyone who kind of makes you feel bad or question things that you do. And that's something I had to learn the hard way, because I did follow people who made me feel bad about my business, about my life. And yeah, you got to remember, it's just a highlight reel. It's just a highlight reel. It's just what people want you to see. It's a curated feed. It's a curated image. It's like photographers only show you their best image and they only publish their best work, but you haven't seen the hundreds, thousands of photos that haven't been posted or haven't been kind of made the cut as such. So you just need to think of it like that, okay? And that's like, I'm by no means an expert, but with the rise of kind of mental health, we do need to be thinking about how we actually control social media as opposed to it controlling us. Now then, this has descended into chaos. So next question, have you had an erection since prep? Good news is yes. If I hadn't, I'd probably be slightly worried by now. What is it, 4 months now? 4 months since prep, I would probably a bit longer. I would be significantly concerned if I hadn't. And that's all you're going to get for an answer for that one, because I think that's just taking the piss, actually. Another one about prep. So what was the best and worst things from prep? The best things was the level I was able to push myself to. I pushed myself harder than I've ever experienced anything in my life. And that really did show me that I'm capable of way more than I think I can do. And this is really exciting, because this is something that you can then use in all walks of your life. You can literally use it to fuel everything. Like, you've done so much stuff during prep that you didn't want to do. It makes things that you do want to do super easy. Worst things from prep, probably the issues it caused in my life, in terms of kind of digestive issues and personal things. I'm not going to go into those in any more detail, but I do think kind of prep put a strain on my life, as it will. And sometimes things kind of crack under that strain, and that's just the way it is, and that's just the way life is, and sometimes things are out of your control in that sense, so you just got to kind of react to what's in front of you. So best thing is finding out how hard you can push yourself, and the worst thing was that some of the kind of issues it caused in my life. But onwards and upwards, we can't complain. Right then, next one. Right, so this is a good one. So what is my favourite cereal? And I've been thinking about this a lot recently, because before prep I was a big cereal lover, but since prep I haven't had much cereal, because I do like a cost-benefit analysis on it, and based on my levels of hunger, I just don't see the point of eating a massive bowl of cereal when I can have a massive bowl of oats. Again, linking back to oats and how boring I am. But my favourite cereal in order of my favourite. So top 3 are Lidl's, no, not Lidl, the other one. Aldi's knockoff version of Reese's Pieces. They are unreal, and for the price, it's like £1.19p. Incredible. Whereas the Reese's Pieces are like £10.99 in American sweet shop stores in the UK. Second is Cocoa Pops. I don't think you can go wrong with them. I think the texture, I think the crunchiness, and I think their ability to influence the liquid that you have with them is a second to none. But my favourite is chocolate shreddies, and that is something I've learned quite recently. I have a few shreddies here and there, but shreddies, like, they are banging, crunchy, and they absorb the liquid you use with it, and they really do kind of pollute the milk or the almond milk, whatever you're using, into like this perfect chocolate milkshake based liquid that is unreal. So those are my top 3 cereals: knock off Reese's Pieces, Cocoa Pops, and chocolate shreddies. Ooh, this is a good question. So, top 3 foods I've ever eaten. So, in no particular order, when I went to New York for New Year's and New Year's Eve and stuff like that, we went to a American steakhouse, which was honestly the best steak I've probably ever had. No silly sauces on it, just cooked perfectly in like their marinade. Oh, that was unbelievable, and that kind of just showed me that there's levels to the steak game, and obviously there was quite a good price on that, but it is what it is. Next would be a paella that I had made for me in Spain. So my parents' friends in Spain have a property, and they cook a paella, well, they used to cook a paella for us every kind of couple of years on the roof. And this is literally kind of the most rustic Spanish style cooking I've ever seen. Just a massive pan. The bloke's got a hose pipe. He's like, oh, I need a bit more water. He's just squirting the hose pipe in. He's throwing salt in. He's throwing in all of these massive prawns that are literally like as big as my hand. And the taste of that, I've never been able to get like a paella like it ever again. And that memory will kind of stay with me for forever, really. Like, incredible, and like just good memories of that meal. And my next favourite meal, it's a tricky one. I don't necessarily go out for much food. In terms of baked items, I think I've had multiple good almond croissants in Europe, but there was a little cafe in Madrid called Plenty that did some amazing food. Just like little bits that were just really nice, well put together, and kind of the memory of that holiday as well was really good at the time. So those are my top 3 foods that I've eaten. Ooh, next one, quite a deep question. So, how to deal with life setbacks. So, of course, I'm not a therapist. I'm not anyone who knows anything about this, but I can just kind of speak from my experience. And one of my most recent experiences, quite a significant life event, and how to deal with that. I mean, something that I struggled with at that time was giving myself space to actually process what's happened. And this is something I think a lot of blokes and female women in general don't necessarily do. You get caught up and you think, right, now I've got loads of time, I'm just gonna ignore how I feel about this thing or about this setback. And what we do by ignoring things is we just end up kind of bottling it up, and it doesn't go anywhere, and it just kind of toxically just ruminates in our head. And what you'll find, and what I found, is like these setbacks just always come into your head when you don't want them to, when you're trying to sleep, when you're trying to do something that focuses or needs all your attention, because what you've been doing, you've just been pushing it to the side, and you've not been thinking about it, and you've not been giving yourself the time to process it. And again, like with these setbacks, like they probably take longer to think about and get over than you'd really like to admit. And that's something that I've had to come to terms with, and I'm still probably coming to terms with now. But I just think the main thing is like give yourself time to work through things, and as bad as something may feel, it's never going to be that bad forever, hopefully, within reason. So that would be my main take home for that. Right, and lastly, we're going to go a bit of a sport one. So if wherever you're watching this at the moment, in the UK, it is the Six Nations. So Six Nations is where a group of countries play each other in kind of a little rugby tournament. I am English, so unfortunately I support England. And being an English fan on the weekend again was just an anticlimax. We got beaten by Scotland again. Absolute shock. I don't think we played very well, and it really did show that I do think kind of Eddie Jones is not the guy to get England really to the World Cup final again. I think he's living off doing somewhat okay when we've really not ever done that well with him. But obviously, I'm not coach. So who do I think will win the Six Nations? Probably Ireland, just because I think they have that grit and that ability to consistently execute a game plan. I would love to say France and their flair, but they can't. They're just very inconsistent, and this is both their blessing and their curse, is that they are great to watch. They excite you, but when push comes to shove and it gets really like hard yards, I would always back my money on the Irish team with Johnny Sexton at 10, probably to come out on top. I'd probably put England somewhere near the bottom with Wales, because Wales got absolutely pummeled by France. And then unfortunately, like Italy, you're probably not going to win a game. I mean, you could win against England because they're absolutely shocking, but who knows? So I think, actually, I haven't even spoken about Scotland. I think Scotland will do well. I think they could potentially beat France, but I do think Ireland will just probably have too much firepower for most of the teams in the Six Nations at the moment. I think England need to seriously sort themselves out, because we've picked a new team, but it really did look like we'd picked a new team on the weekend. So those are all my questions. Well, there is some more, but I'm just going to keep this video short. I hope you enjoyed the video. There will be links to my old videos up here, so do give them a watch. There's some full days of eating, and there's some just general ones with general information in them. If you like the video, give me a like, let me know in the comments. But other than that, I hope you have a great day, great week, great life, whatever you're doing, and I'll speak to you.